Welcome to another edition of Panther Sports Talk right here on WIU. I'm your host, Rich Moser. Coming up on this season preview issue, we will preview the men's soccer season, the women's soccer season, and volleyball. We'll be right back to kick off Panther Sports Talk right here on WIU.
Production for Panther Sports Talk is brought to you in part by Johnson's Automotive Service is a proud supporter of Panther Sports on WEIU. Johnson's has alignment checks along with oil changes. Located at 800 Madison in Charleston. Johnson's Automotive Service, keeping your life running.
Welcome back. We now kick off the season preview here. We talked about men's soccer. We're joined by EIU men's soccer coach Adam Howarth. And Coach, a monumental season, I guess, coming up for the men's soccer program here, in that it's the 50th anniversary of men's soccer on campus. And so I guess tell us a little bit about that and some of the festivities you have planned. I know people will hear more as we get closer to it, but I know you put a lot of legwork in to get this thing going.
Yeah, we've done a lot of work. We're actually going to be hosting a tournament around about September 13th to the 15th, so we're really excited about that. And then on the 14th, we're going to have a little get-together, a little alumni luncheon, and a little tailgate before the first football game as well. So it coincides with a good weekend, a lot of sports activities going on. We're excited to play two very good games on the Friday and the Sunday, and hopefully we can get as many people out as possible.
Now, this match, or this 50th anniversary, will mean probably a little bit more than you. In addition to being the head coach, you also played here. You're an alumnus. I don't know if a lot of people know that, but so you got a lot of guys probably from your era coming back. Have you been ringing the phone a little bit?
We've been trying to get as many as we can. You know, schedule's always so difficult, but yeah, we've certainly been trying to get as many people as we can. You know, when I look at it, you know, I put 18 years in, so that's quite a lot of time at EIU. So, you know, with my 4 years of playing, so we certainly hope that we can get as many people back, and we'll see.
Now, I know one of the big names that people know, the household names for people that follow soccer, Shellis Hyman, played here, coached here, now the head coach with FC Dallas. Unable to make it happen in his schedule. I know you tried really hard to make him come back. He's going to send some well wishes, but some of the other names that maybe you've talked about that people may remember that you've kind of heard or confirmed to come? Yeah,
so yeah, obviously we'd love to have Shellis, but he's busy with his season and fighting for a playoff spot. But yeah, I think Jerry Pagnani's coming back, who was All-American back in the 60s, and we're certainly working on trying to get some of his teammates back from that 1969 team. And then looking at more recently, we got a few players here from the 2000s, Mick Gillespie, Brad Peters, some of those guys that were very well known and did real well. So we should have a good selection of some guys from 60s, 70s, 80s, 90s, and then obviously in the 2000s.
And even yourself on your coaching staff, you and your assistant coach Mark Hansen, you guys kind of span a little bit of that gap yourself. Mark, of course, played goalkeeper here and has now been your assistant for the last couple of years. So I'm sure he's trying to get some of those younger fellows to come out as well.
Sure, yeah. He's worked hard to try and get those guys like Brad and Mick to come back as well. So we'll see what we can do. And obviously, Mark, you know, he has a big impact on the program too, holding the school record for goals against. So yeah, it's going to be good to get as many people back.
Now, since we're talking about goalkeepers with Mark, I know it's one of the areas he works with. That's going to be a key area for you guys, and the fact that you lost several players that have kind of been steady in there the last couple of years. That's one position when I look at your roster just quickly, that's an area that really is up for battle, that has a guy. I know you've only been practicing for a couple of days now. You already seen a guy or two that's maybe emerged to try to take that? Yeah,
it's always difficult. You know, we're 3 days in. We've got 3 keepers in. And Garrett Creaser last year played about 7 or 8 games. Ben Feltis redshirted, and we got a freshman in Austin Miller in. So it's going to be very competitive. We've got 3 preseason games, which is great. So we'll be able to kind of take a good look at them in those games, as well as obviously in training each day. So it should be very competitive, all 3 of those guys. And yeah, we've had good goalkeepers. You know, Evan was good, and we had Sean Maloney before him. So, and obviously Mark with his reputation. So we want to try and make sure that someone establishes himself early and makes an impact on the program.
Now, one of the areas you guys aren't I would say, rebuilding in that you have some solidity is a little bit up front there. You have Jake Brillhart and Will Butler. I know they've kind of battled a little bit of nagging injuries over the last couple of years, but they both seem to be healthy going in, so that gives you a good foundation up front to build around.
Yeah, I think our midfield and forwards are going to be very strong. We've got some seniority in terms of juniors, seniors there. We may be a little bit younger in the back in a couple of spots, but certainly those guys have played a lot too. So I think for midfield forwards, we shouldn't have too many problems, hopefully getting ourselves chances to score on goal. It's just a matter of getting the ball in the back of the net. And that's always the old adage too.
Now, the schedule a little bit, I know for you, people a lot of times have seen, and I know it seems to affect only people look at it from football, the conference realignment. I don't think they realize the shakedown effect it has on other sports. You being a soccer coach, the Summit League was essentially kind of picked apart by some of these mid-major leagues. And I know scheduling for you was very difficult this year, but it looks like you've got a good thing put together.
Yeah, we were really thrown for a loop with Oakland leaving, really in July. So that made things very difficult. We lost a conference game, so we ended up adding a non-conference exhibition, which is great, against a very good Dayton team, who's also going to be in a different conference. So there's so many changes. So we ended up losing 2. We lost UMKC. And then we've also added Denver as well. So it's been pretty good in terms of where we got. So Oakland and UMKC are gone, but we've added Denver. So that's going to make for a nice trip out there.
And that'll be good. I know they're usually a good soccer program, so you kind of trade, like you said, in Oakland, who's been pretty good the last year, for Denver. Does that help you maybe a little bit from a recruiting standpoint, that now you can say, you can maybe go get some more kids from the Midwest? Like you talked about Sean Maloney, I think was a Colorado kid, and Marcus from Texas. So it allows you maybe to expand your recruiting base a little bit?
Yeah, definitely. We like to try and do that. I think with the teams that we've got in our league, there's 7 teams, 6 teams, we're going to be playing against each other in terms of trying to fight for those 4 spots. So, I think it's going to be exciting. It's going to expand our network in terms of who we can play against, and we're looking forward to seeing what teams will kind of rise to the crest here as things go forward.
Well, Coach, best of luck during the season. We're going to talk to you a little bit later during the year. We'll do some previews and some features on a couple of guys on the team. But the 50th anniversary, that's the thing we kind of want people to mark their calendars for. It's that weekend of September 13th, 14th, and 15th, a big tournament here at home. You haven't had one of those in the past. So hopefully people will come out, see not only Eastern, which is going to have a good soccer program this year, but see some other teams in that action as well, and maybe see some faces from the past that have played there at Lakeside Field.
Absolutely.
Well, Coach, best of luck during the season. We'll be right
Thanks.
back with This Week in EIU Athletics.
Panther fans, here's what's going on in Panther athletics. Men's soccer with an exhibition win at Lakeside Field over St. Xavier 4-2 this past weekend. Now here's what to watch for this week. On Friday, women's soccer with their season opener at Lakeside Field as they take on Oakland at 3 o'clock. On Saturday, men's soccer with one final exhibition match as they take on Dayton at Lakeside Field. The match starts at 5 o'clock. On Sunday, women's soccer travels north to DeKalb as they take on Northern Illinois at 1 o'clock. For Panther Sports Talk, I'm Ramin Karbasioun.
Welcome back to Panther Sports Talk. We're now joined by women's soccer coach Jason Cherry. Jason, in your first year as the head coach here, so welcome aboard and congratulations on getting the position.
Thank you.
And one of the things I was going to ask you about is why people may not, we say you're the new head coach, but you've been with the program now. This is your second year. You came in last year as an assistant coach, and due to Coach Perala stepping down late in the summer, you kind of just took over the program, which is going to be hopefully an easy transition for you.
Yeah, well, first, thank you. I'm very excited to be here and have the opportunity to coach. The transition's going to be smooth. I know all the girls, and they all know me. We only graduated 4 girls, so we have a majority of the team coming back this year, so they know what I expect, which is nice.
And the one thing you had to do there is with you moving from the assistant coaching role into the head coaching role, you brought in an assistant, you brought in somebody that you're familiar with that I think coached with you at Western Illinois and that you've known for a while, so that's got to be a good transition as well.
Oh, it's great. And Tony Caslan's the new assistant, and him and I have been friends for a long time and worked together at Western Illinois, and he knows how I coach, he knows what I expect, and he can help me a lot. He's very organized and just such an upbeat guy. I think the team will love him to death.
Now, a lot of times, and we were talking to Adam Howarth a little bit earlier in the program, and the Summit League kind of got picked apart in terms of how the soccer programs went, and he struggled to put together a schedule. Your situation was a little bit different, and one that the schedule was already put together. I'm sure you maybe had a little bit of helping last year with that, with Coach Perala, and kind of figuring out what would be good games for the team you had coming back. But you're also familiar with the OVC, and the OVC was stable this past year. So I guess you have some advantages there that maybe a first-year head coach normally wouldn't have.
Yeah, that's really nice because I've got to see them all, and I know the players that are coming back and the style they play and the coaches. There's been a few coaching changes, which will be interesting, some of the teams in the conference, but I know all the players, know what to expect, and that makes it a little easier. And then the schedule itself, the non-conference schedule, with women's soccer, they do a 2-year scheduling thing, so the schedule was actually done before I came last year. Okay. However, I know all those teams, and I'm friends with a lot of those coaches and know how they play and their styles of play. So I feel comfortable in the situation, which is nice.
Now, you talked about the fact that you have some familiarity with the girls. You coached all of them last year. The recruits that are coming in, the freshmen, and you have a couple transfers as well, those are players that you helped recruit, so you already have a little bit of a relationship there. It's not like you're starting from scratch. And I guess the girls, it's been easy for them in the transition too. I would hope that the fact that they have some familiarity with you.
Oh, most definitely. Actually, all the girls that came in, I saw them play probably 3 or 4 times, every single one of them. So they know me, which was really nice. And then when Coach Perella stepped down, I called each one of them, talked to them, and just kind of made them feel comfortable and tell them that we really want you. We want you to be a part of this program, and they can help us move forward. So they're excited to be here, and they're all working very hard right now. So.
Now you talk about the program, and a little bit different than Coach Howarth's situation with the men is where he returns some veterans up front and has to build in the back. You guys are actually kind of the reverse of that. Is you lost some veterans up front that had been some goal scorers for you and some playmakers the last couple of years, but you start with some veterans in the back. Caitlin Green and Lauren Hoppenstadt just come to mind for me, that players maybe to build around there.
Well, that's 2 great players. They're very hardworking, understand the game really well, and very loyal, which means a lot to me. So when we practice, they set the tone right away, which is great. And then Megan Ryloff as well, returner, is a big impact for the team. She helps out a lot. They set the tone for it. And we do have 21 underclassmen out of 28 players. So there's a lot of learning moments for them, and those 3 that we just talked about step up and try to help them out a lot.
Now, I know, unfortunately for you, the injury bug has plagued you guys a little bit. You've only been in camp for about a week, I think, right now, and you're losing about a player a day, but hopefully not for very long. How does the team, you said you have 28 players, I guess the depth is part of that because you know injuries happen in sports, but how have the girls responded to one player goes down? Is the next one stepping up, or are they kind of a little shell-shocked?
No, actually, the next one's stepping up. I think the captains hold everybody accountable, and I think every player has realized their roles might change every day, so that snapshot at a time, that picture, that they have to be ready to step up because you never know. And everyone's really grasping onto it, and it's been an awesome camp so far. I mean, of course, the injuries, we wish that didn't happen, but everyone's working hard to go forward, so I'm very impressed and very happy with them.
Now, one of the battles I know you guys do have, very similar to the men, is you do have the battle in goal, and I know that is really where everything gets built around. While you need to score goals, if you don't have anybody that can stop goals, then it's kind of doesn't matter how many you score. And you guys have a transfer that came in there. You also, I think, you have a returning player in there, and then some incomers. Is anybody kind of solidify themselves, or is it still kind of wide open right now?
We have a great competition going on. I feel bad for the girls because that was the position I played, so I'm really hard on them. And maybe they like it, maybe they don't. But yeah, Emily Hinton was a freshman last year and got some time in goal, and actually had a winning record as a freshman. And Courtney Jersey transferred that semester, so she played with us in the spring. And then Kylie Morgan transferred from the University of Kentucky, and then Jessica Kiley's a freshman. And every day they're battling, and then it goes back and forth, but I've been very impressed with what I've seen and their work rate and some of the things they've done I haven't expected. So keep on pushing, but I think we'll be pretty good in that position.
Now, is this a situation for you guys that you don't play quite as many exhibition games as the guys do? So is the first game or 2 of the season, is that maybe that if you have 4 keepers and they haven't separated themselves, they'll all get a half in those first 4 games, or are you hoping that maybe 1 or 2 kind of separate themselves?
Well, I'm hoping by the end of camp one steps up and says, it's my position, have that mentality. But if it doesn't, I'd probably go a game apiece, because there's so many things that you see within the game. By giving them a half, there might be a situation that doesn't come up, and I want to see how they handle it, because ultimately we want to win conference and we want to get prepared for that moment. So if I have two keepers that are similar, if we start off with Oakland, I'll give one a game, then against Northern Illinois, we'll just give her the whole game and see how she can handle and how she can manage the team and if she can lead them. So that's probably the route we'll go with.
All right, sounds great, Coach. Best of luck. I know the season is right around the corner. Everybody can check out the schedule. You guys have some late August games here at home at Lakeside Field, so people will be able to get out there and see those and then find out for yourselves who won the battle in goalkeep. We'll be right back with a season preview of volleyball right after this.
Game on the line, 2-point conversion. They throw it to Laura, running around the right end on a reverse. Throws a pass, and it is caught. The Panthers win.
WEIU is your home for Eastern Illinois Panther football. Eric Laura and Jimmy Garoppolo lead the Panthers' potent offense in 2013 as EIU looks to repeat as OVC champs. It's Eastern Illinois Panther football coming in September on WEIU.
All right, welcome back to Panther Sports Talk. We're now joined by EIU women's volleyball coach Kate Price. And Coach, you guys are getting underway now, and a lot of the teams we've talked to so far have had a lot of new faces that are coming in. They're trying to have them figure out their systems. You guys are a little bit different situation in that you only have about 2 or 3 new faces that are having to get accustomed to playing under your style.
Yeah, right now we actually only have 2 kids that are coming in as incoming freshmen, and everyone else is returning. So, we lost 3 kids, and 1 to 2 big impact players, and then a defensive specialist. So we're excited to have some veterans for a change as opposed to starting 3 or 4 freshmen.
Now, you talk about veterans, and we'll talk about 2 that you're kind of going to build around. They were just named preseason all-conference in the OVC. Renee Hutchinson's a senior, a player that you've been building around for a couple years, and a player that when you came in as an assistant coach a number of years ago was one of the first players you helped recruit.
Yes, Renee is a very powerful hitter, and she has a tendency to somewhat scare the opposing teams, as I've heard. So we're excited to have her back again for her final and senior year, and just working to kind of build a foundation around her.
Now, the other player that you have is Abby Southrank. She was named a preseason all-conference player, was an all-OVC newcomer last year as a freshman, and a player that a lot of times in volleyball it seems like you can be a freshman and be an impact player, maybe more so than some other sports.
Yeah, no, definitely. Abby jumps and touches pretty high on the net, so we're excited to the fact that she can get up and actually really get a hold of some balls and bounce some balls, and we're working on her all-around game right now, and we also have the option to have her set. So she's a very versatile player, and we're excited about having her back as well.
So you were worried about doing this. You're leading me right in my next questions. I was going to ask you about setters next. Is like a quarterback on a football team or a point guard on a basketball team, the flow of the team really runs through the setter. A great setter can make the players around them so much better. You had some veterans in that position last year, but some of these, Abby and then I think Mara Bradbury, got some minutes last year, so it's not completely brand new to them.
Yeah, no, they're coming in as sophomores, and the sophomore year is a pretty tough year just because of the fact that you have to live up to your expectations of the previous year, and every year you need to be getting better. But one thing Mara does a great job of is a lot of times they'll talk about hitters having a certain window. Mara increases that window with hitters. So, that's a huge positive as a setter, and I think she's growing as a defensive player. So if we can continue to keep her healthy and get her distributing the ball, I think we're good to go.
Now, you've done a good job of when you came in as an assistant. The program had really been down, and the history of the program has been really one of the ones in the upper half of the OVC. And you guys are kind of scratched the surface of that last year, made the conference tournament for the first time in a number of years. Is a little extra pressure now on the kids going that, hey, our expectation isn't just to get into the tournament, it's to make a run into the tournament?
I think it would be a lot of pressure, aside from the fact that I think several of the returners have kind of a little fire under them, with the loss when we all, were in it to extend that lead last year. So I think that's been pushing them in the off season and all through the summer. And, now getting into preseason, we had a great start to preseason and everyone's really getting after it. So I wouldn't say pressure, I'd say excitement.
Now, when you talk about OVC play, you play 16 matches. You play a lot more than that over the course of the season, and the season seems to really be compacted in the fact that you play a lot of games, but you play a lot of games a lot of times in short windows of times because you play in tournaments where you can get 3-4 matches in a weekend. People aren't even going to see your team until mid-October. When they look at a schedule card, I'm like, hey, you guys could be very good or very bad by then, but what's most important is the conference season. So are the conference tournaments you have, or I know you coaches look at those, are they set up to prepare you guys for that conference play?
Yeah, our preseason schedule is really, to iron out kinks. And right now we have a couple kids in each position that are fighting for spots. So that's the time to see who can come in a match and, get some good swings in and fight for that spot. For the most part, it's every position. So, we're excited to see who's going to compete for spots and who's going to end up taking the spots.
Now, when you guys do open, and like I said, it's in October before you guys open, so people shouldn't get too discouraged that, yes, we do have a volleyball team. We didn't drop it. They just are spending the first portion of the season on the road. And that's not unusual for volleyball teams. I know fans may not understand that, but really only so many teams host tournaments in the first couple weeks, and those are kind of ingrained, and you kind of pick and choose what's good for your budget, what's good for recruiting, and things like that.
Yeah, and also, another factor that it goes into budget and everything along those lines, things that I guess we don't need to get into. But for the most part, it's nice to be able to play teams in our level that'll challenge us. And I think this year we have a great schedule for the girls to, go in, and it won't be necessarily wins, but they're teams that are at our level and that we can compete with, and we should be going into, with a lot of confidence and getting after it.
Now, once again, the OVC plays in divisions. You guys were picked near the upper half of your division. You've been in this OVC in both different ways. Do you prefer the divisions, or are you still going to take another year or two to find out if it's the best thing you think for building a program?
Yeah, for the most part, I think a schedule's a schedule. You play the schedule that's given to you. If you complain about it, it's just making it worse. So, I don't mind the divisions. I think it's nice to travel a little bit less. It does, help out with budget, and it helps with class miss, by the girls. So that's always a huge positive, because obviously they're a student before they're an athlete, and making sure they're getting to class and that type of stuff. But, our goal is to win. So every match, the next day ahead of us, that's what we're preparing for, and that's how we're going into it.
All right, well, you guys will get underway on Labor Day weekend. You're on the road for the first couple weekends, like we said, for tournaments. So best of luck in that. We encourage everybody. We'll have you back on. We'll do a feature on probably one of the kids, maybe Renee or somebody like that, as we get closer to it in October, and kind of reinforce that, hey, the volleyball team is doing really well. They're going to be at home at Lance for a number of matches in October and November. So, Coach, best of luck.
Thank you.
We're going to wrap up this week's show with some of the highlights from fall. You're going to see some of the sights and sounds from some of the teams that are in camp already. And then next week, when we come back on our second show, we'll do a season preview of football and women's rugby. Thanks for watching Panther Sports Talk.
The more we keep the ball and make the other team work, the better off we're going to be as a team. All right? So we're going to get fit. But if we can make them work harder than what we're working smart, we're going to put ourselves in situations with great goal scoring opportunities. And so we'll help us win. Okay? So you guys have to be committed to teamwork.
Production for Panther Sports Talk is brought to you in part by Johnson's Automotive Service is a proud supporter of Panther Sports on WEIU. Johnson's has alignment checks, along with oil changes. Located at 800 Madison in Charleston. Johnson's Automotive Service, keeping your life running.